Hello friends. Welcome back to another Java and Journeys with Jillian. As you can see, we have our nice little Starbucks tumbler here. We are actually about to take a step out for today and hang out. I am going to be fixing my cold brew here from Bizzy. Bizzy is so good. I love the quality of their cold brew. They have a few different kinds. I particularly love the espresso. They also have a dark roast that I really like. So I am just going to go ahead, save some money, right? Let's just fix our cold brew from home. And I also have my Nut Pods creamer. And this is like an almond and coconut milk creamer that I think is so good. Very low calorie, like very low sugar as well. So I think that if you're looking for a good alternative that's a bit healthier, I would definitely recommend Nut Pods. Give it a shot. I know that alternative milks are not for everyone. So for me, it definitely was an acquired taste. I was very much like that full cream. I actually think is like, if I ever want to, I don't even like to say cheat, but like really indulge myself. I love the Chobani creamers, but typically for my day-to-day creamer, I go with the Nut Pod. Lower in sugar, better for you. And right now they have this limited pumpkin spice flavor right now, which I just picked up at Publix the other day. Super exciting for me because again, we're getting into the fall, and when you start seeing all the pumpkin spice everything, that's when you know that the season is near. So I figured I'd chat with you all while I'm preparing my cold brew to go. What we are going to do is make our way over to Hawkers. Now, I have not lived in a place that has a Hawkers. Hawkers has Asian food, a lot of great noodles. My mom actually told my sister and I about Hawkers, like, oh my gosh, like they have the best noodles. Now, we lived in the West Coast. I think I've mentioned before in other videos that I lived in Seattle for close to 10 years, lived in Southern California for a couple of years. I say that to say that there is just excellent Asian food that you can get on the West Coast that I have felt is not the same anywhere else. Although, depending on the state and the communities that live in that state, sometimes you can find things that are just equally as great. But for me, like Asian food on the West Coast, it's where it's at. And since we moved here to Florida, I have felt like, man, I cannot find the same like quality when it comes to the noodles, when it comes to the pho, when it comes to the ramen, when it comes to the dumplings. So my mom was saying like, oh, you should try Hawkers. And yes, Hawkers is the chain. My sister actually shared with me a TikTok recently that made Hawkers look really good. So I'm like, all right, maybe my mom could be onto something. So we're going to go to Hawkers for a late lunch, try them out, and then walk over to Disney Springs. I had accidentally left one of my credit cards at Be Our Guest. This was during the Not So Scary Halloween party. So I actually was able, it was very quick and easy. I was able to file a report on Disney. Actually, they do have my credit card. So word to the wise, if you ever lose anything at Walt Disney World, what will typically happen is they'll keep it at that respective park for a day, and then after that they will actually transfer everything over to their warehouse located in Disney Springs, where there's like a bit of a lost and found, and a lot of the parks have some type of lost and found location. So if you wait longer than a day, it's not going to be at the park. It's probably going to be at Disney Springs at that point. So just like pro tip for you. So file the report. It's quick and easy. It's nothing crazy. They'll match your item based on the description, and then they'll shoot you an email saying, yes, we have it, or no, we don't. They have my credit card, which I knew I had left it at the restaurant. I didn't really realize that until like the following day or so later. So we're going to go pick that up, hang out at Disney Springs for a little bit, and then call it a day. So if you're new here, Jillian Kilby, welcome to Java and Journeys. We have our Java. Now we're about to set on our journey. See you at Hawkers. All right, friends, we have made it over to Hawkers. Let's go in. So I am starting out with a jasmine green tea at Hawkers, and just to kind of show you the menu here, they have a very extensive drink menu with a lot of craft cocktails here that I definitely am interested in trying on a future visit, should everything be good here initially, which I have confidence it'll be great. And then something to tell you about their menu is that they bring everything out as like it's ready. So it's not that kind of setup where you order an appetizer and then they bring it out. What they actually do is they just bring things out as it's ready, because this is Asian street food setup. And what we ended up ordering is the beef hawk fun here, which should be good. We also ordered some dim sum, so we're going to try these soup dumplings. We're also going to try some of the meat. So we got the coconut shrimp and the Korean twice fried wings. So hopefully all this should be good. I'll show you all what it looks like as it comes out, and then we'll chat a little bit about our thoughts of Hawkers when we leave. All right, we just got out our coconut shrimp. Looking forward to trying this out. And we just got out the beef ha fun. Looks really good. But again, as you saw with the shrimp, as well as with the beef, the portion sizes are a little bit smaller. So this is like perfect for if you have a group of people and you want to just order a bunch of things, try it out, share it. But everything looks good so far. And our soup dumplings just came out. You can see the steam rising off of the dumplings. I'm so excited to take a bite of these and see how they compare with some other restaurants that we've been to before, especially on the West Coast. And then we have our twice fried Korean wings. This is what started to happen while we were sitting inside, which is so crazy because it was more so partly cloudy when we came in. I don't think that trip to Disney Springs is going to be happening right now. We may have to postpone it to later this evening or tomorrow. I do not have an umbrella, so I'm trying to think right now if I want to go for it. I don't know. Why? Why? I did not bring an umbrella. We made it to the car. I am a bit drenched, so we are just going to sit here for a moment. And while it is pouring and we're sitting, I will talk to you about Hawkers. Okay, so let's talk about the experience at Hawkers. First, I will say that I was pleasantly surprised. Overall, it was good. It is not better than the West Coast, but for the South, I think Hawkers is definitely a good option if you want Asian food that has good flavor, that's straightforward. None of the flavor combinations are complicated, complex, anything that anyone should be intimidated by. Also, I like the menu. I like the options that they offered across the noodles, the rice, the dim sum. Of what we had, I thought it was pretty good. Let's start with the coconut shrimp. So the breading on the shrimp was a little hard, like harder than what I would like. So I don't know that I am a big fan of the batter, but again, still had good flavor. The dipping sauce was like a curry sauce, which I didn't catch that on the menu. I was anticipating for it to be sweeter, because that typically when you order coconut shrimp from anywhere else, it comes with like that overly sweet, syrupy, sweet Thai chili sauce that typically doesn't have any flavor. The curry sauce was a pleasant surprise for me. It had a lot of flavor, very savory. So highly recommend it if you want something different with your coconut shrimp. Although I wasn't the biggest fan of the breading. The shrimp were cooked perfectly, so the shrimp wasn't overcooked. So okay option. Out of like 5, I would probably give it, for me, again, maybe a 2.5. Thought it was okay in terms of the coconut shrimp. The noodles. The noodles were delicious. The only thing I wish about the noodles is that it would have had a little bit of a kick to it, like a spice. But that's just me. You can always add that. My husband ordered some chili sauce. So we had, like, if you wanted to add it and kick it up a notch, you can. But the flavor was good. I don't have any complaints about the wide noodles. So for me, like out of a 5, I probably would give it a 3.5 or a 4. Really good. No complaints. The dim sum. So the soup dumplings, I wish it had a little bit more soup in it. And when you're comparing that to, if you've ever been to Din Tai Fung, which is super popular on the West Coast, it's not better than Din Tai Fung. It's not better than Paradise Dynasty, which is a Din Tai Fung rival, so to speak, in Southern California. It's good, though. I would probably give it, again, maybe like a 3, 2.5, 3. I wish it had more soup. I felt like the meat was seasoned very well, had a nice ginger taste to it. The dipping sauce, which I think was a combination of soy sauce and vinegar, that was good. And typically, for those of you all that have been to Din Tai Fung, and if you are unfamiliar with DTF is the shorter name for it, look it up. They have restaurants all over the West Coast. They have also a restaurant that they opened up in Las Vegas. And of course, Las Vegas has anything and everything you could almost think of. That's where I feel like all the chains go to converge. All the popular restaurants or restaurateurs or famous chefs, like, you will see a lot of representation in Las Vegas. So if you are planning a trip to Las Vegas and you want some good dim sum and you've never had that, especially if you live in certain areas of the South or Midwest, where I think like it may be a little bit more of a challenge to find really good dim sum, try DTF. It's so good. Some people who are like very, very, very particular about their dim sum may say DTF is gimmicky, not for them because it's also a chain. I have nothing against DTF. I absolutely love it. It's Taiwanese dumplings. I think it's bomb. But this is also coming from someone who has never traveled in Asia. I've never been to Taiwan. So maybe if I broadened my horizons a little bit more and I had the opportunity to try dim sum in some other countries, especially in other places in the US, like especially the Northeast, right? New York has a lot of great options. My mind probably would change on that. But going back, I think at the end of the day, that's the bar for me where I compare it to is something like a Paradise Dynasty, a DTF. It's not as good as that, but still flavorful, still good. Like I said, I would probably give it a 3. What else? We also ordered some chicken dumplings. The breading on the chicken dumplings, or the dough, I should say, on the outside was thicker than the soup dumplings. Still good. I would probably give the chicken dumplings maybe a 2.5, 3, somewhere in between that. The chicken had some flavor. I wish the breading wasn't quite as thick, or the dough. I wish that wasn't quite as thick. But otherwise, again, pretty good flavor with everything that I feel like we had. I will say, as just like, and this is a typical thing now, especially with inflation, everything's expensive. I just ordered a plain green jasmine tea. You all saw that. The brand was Rishi. You can get that brand pretty much at any grocery store. It's nothing exceptionally special. I do like Rishi. I paid $4 for basically hot water and a tea bag. I think that's a little bit excessive, but I know that's common for a lot of restaurants. Your drinks are going to be expensive. So if you want to figure out a place to cut back cost, I would say scrap getting a drink. Just get water, and you'll save yourself a few dollars. I tried to make sure I got my money's worth from that, so I was constantly adding or asking for hot water. They give you a very small, individual, little like micro teapot of hot water, and so I felt bad. I was just constantly asking the waiter, like, hey, can I get some more hot water? Get some more hot water. I was like, I'm getting my $4 worth here. But all in all, I do think we ended up spending, so it's my husband, my sister, and I ate. We ended up spending without tip around $85 roughly. And again, as I said at the beginning of this, the intention behind Hawkers is that it is Asian street food. So you go in, it's meant to be kind of like akin to like small plates, like maybe kind of like tapas. I mean, the portion sizes are bigger than like a traditional like Spanish style tapas, but the intention behind it is that you go in, you share. Of course you can order, like if I were just by myself, the noodles would have been enough. But go with the group. I think it's great for that. Get a bunch of different items, try it out. I definitely am looking forward to going back to Hawkers and especially trying some of their cocktails. A lot of them looked really interesting. I just wasn't in the mood for a drink, but I will definitely go back and try it again. And I also recommend it. I think for the South, it's really good. And again, especially if you have a group of people with you and you all want to try a bunch of different things and share, it's fantastic for that. Otherwise, does it compare to what I've had on the West Coast? No. Does it compare to some of the Asian food that I've even had in Boston, in New York? No, it doesn't. But is it good for what it is? Yes. Is it a regional staple that I would highly recommend? Yes. If you have family members who are not huge, like Asian foodies, they're very particular. They like Asian food that's very straightforward. Asian American, I would say, this would be great for your family because I think it would make them feel like they are getting into the Asian foodie world. It's a step up from your typical kind of like hole in the wall Asian restaurant or Asian buffet even. It's nowhere close to that. Hawkers is better. The food is flavorful, more flavorful than your typical standard Chinese American food. So highly recommend it. I'm looking forward to trying something else, trying some of the other food items. If you've ever been to Hawkers, drop down in the comments. Talk about what are some of the things that you recommend. What are some of the things you don't recommend? I would definitely like to get some feedback and also get some recommendations for you all of what's something I can try the next go around. On to the next journey. We made it over to Disney Springs. I am actually on my way over to Lost and Found to pick up my credit card. And it occurred to me that I didn't even talk to you all about the twice fried or double fry Korean wings from Hawkers. I talked about everything else but that, and also just kind of give you my final review and thought about that. I'll show you all a view of Disney Springs while we're walking and talking. So overall, I would say Hawkers is probably a solid 3. Again, I would recommend it in general, especially for your family members that may be a little bit more picky about their Asian food. I think the menu is very straightforward. The flavors are there. It just doesn't taste as good as the Asian food that I'm used to on the West Coast or even in the Northeast. The wings are probably the best part of the meal, like unanimously. Myself, my sister, my husband, we all agreed that the wings are probably the best part of the meal. And everything else was really subject to taste. So I highly recommend that if you go to Hawkers, get the twice fried Korean wings. You will not regret it. Had so much flavor, super crispy. Really liked it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going back at some point and trying them again. Word to the wise, if you ever lose something and it's been longer than a day at one of the Disney parks, you can go over to the Welcome Center to reclaim your lost item. So I'm going to put you all on pause real quick, walk over inside the Welcome Center, grab my forgotten credit card from Be Our Guest, and I'll check back in with you all shortly. Okay, friends, so correction. The Welcome Center are for items that you have lost within Disney Springs. We are actually heading across from the Welcome Center. So if you see here, you have Coach. We're gonna go through the archway in between Coach and round the corner to the Lost and Found for items that have been lost, quote unquote, or misplaced at the parks. So just a tip for you all in case you find yourself in a situation like that. And like I said, filing the report is super easy, but you see this sign here that says Lost and Found over by the same sign for the resort buses. So we are going to head around the corner and I'm just going to pick up my forgotten credit card when we were at Be Our Guest. And then we'll head back into Disney Springs, where I think we may go to Gideon's. We may make another stop, but the rain has calmed down, and it actually is not too crazy humid like it typically is in Florida after a big storm. So I'm actually really grateful for the clouds right now, and that it's quite bearable out here. So I will check in with you all when we are back into the main area of Disney Springs. When you round the corner, you have Lost and Found right here. Thank you. And like I said, it was super quick and easy process. You fill out this little form, very seamless. And then what will happen is Disney will locate your item based upon your description. They will email you a number that is the identification that's attached to the item that you lost. And the Lost and Found, this specific area, are for items that you may have accidentally misplaced while during your time at one of the Disney parks. If you lose an item in Disney Springs, then you should be able to go to the Welcome Center. But if they say, hey, it's actually not here, go to Lost and Found, especially if it's been longer than a day, then you know where that's at. Very easy to get to. Like I said, go in the breezeway that is next to Coach before you get to Sephora, and you'll see it. They will ask you for your number. You give it to them. They'll quickly get your item, and you'll be in and out on your way. There wasn't a line at all, as you all saw when I walked up, so very fast. The Lost and Found is only open until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's just good to know in case, let's just say if you're visiting and you're like, you know what, it's in the evening, I've been gone at the parks all day, I now have time to pop over to Disney Springs. You just know that if you come late in the evening, they will not be open. But I appreciate the system, and just word to the wise, especially if you do lose an item. I know it's easy to panic. When I initially went back to Magic Kingdom to the Lost and Found, located basically right toward the front of the park, there was a person by me or in front of me, and she was getting very flustered and upset at the cast member who was simply trying to help her. And to which I would say, it is not worth getting an attitude. Yes, it can be stressful when you lose any item, especially an item that's connected to your wallet. Like, let's just say if you misplace your magic band. But don't take that out on a cast member or really anyone, right? They are just here to help you. And I am a person that also believes that I'm not going to put myself in a position to be banned from Disney. People lose their cool, they get upset, they get into disagreements, either with cast members or with other guests. And, you know, as we've talked about before, Disney is not cheap. It's very expensive. And for a lot of families, this may be like your once a year trip. This may be your once in every 5-year trip. Regardless of that, you don't want to put yourself in a position where the memory that you have of going to a park and considering the amount of money that you're spending, you don't want that memory to be getting banned because you were fighting. Like, that's just not a good look. It's not what you would want for yourself. And especially if you have kids. I'm sure a lot of you all have seen reports of people and like really bad behavior where they are like literally getting into fist fights for whatever reason, right? Don't ever let a situation escalate to that. I've certainly have had my fair share of irritations, either because people are trying to rush or run to get into the queue. They're pushing, and I just sometimes have to breathe and tell myself not to react. I would highly, highly, highly recommend the same. If you lose an item, like, keep your cool, take a breath, know that people are just here to try to help you. Don't freak out. Same way that if you're going to a park, someone shoves you, 9 times out of 10, it's just because it's already crowded. And then sometimes it's because people are in a rush to try to get into a ride. And I don't think that that behavior's right. Like, take your time. Whitney and I had an incident where we were heading over to Tron. It's actually one of my other videos that I'll point out here and give you a link to if you want to check it out. We're going over to Tron. Actually, I take that back. We decided to pop over to Magic Kingdom. They just so happened to have Tron and Tiana available in a virtual queue. So my sister and I booked Tron, but because of the time of the virtual queue, I think this was probably like 3 o'clock, and you have to be in the park in order to book. And people were just like pushing, like we were going down the stairs. We just got off the monorail. And again, it's those moments where I had to breathe because I literally thought that I was going to freak out. Because if you put me in a position where you're going to cause me harm, but even more importantly, my family, unnecessarily, like when you put me or my family in that position, that will make me go 0 to 100 really quick. And I really literally had to stop and take a breath. And I had to just get out of the way, let those people who want to run, if they want to risk hurting themselves, all to get in a virtual queue. And truth be told, there was plenty of time. Like initially, we actually booked the virtual queue for Tiana, then we switched and went over to Tron, and it was there. Like both rides were available. I think this particular day that we popped over to the park, virtual queue was at 3. Both rides were available, I think, for at least like 30, 45 minutes, even after. There's no need. Like, I just say all this to say, be cool, take your time, don't freak out. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you could potentially get banned from Disney parks. Like that would be very unfortunate. You also don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to harm yourself or harm other people. We're all just here to have a good time, right? So keep that in mind. We have actually just made it over, as you can see. We made it over to Gideon's, and I'll show you all what this queue is looking like right now. This is actually not bad. So where you saw me pause, I'm at the back so far where the line ends. And Gideon's always has a bit of a line. I don't know that I've ever been here and had the incredible fortune to not have to wait in line. So I've always just been prepared for the fact that a line is inevitable, but it goes by really quick because Gideon's, and you will see when I take you inside, is not a big place. It's very self-explanatory. Their menu is very simple. It's cookies, it's cake, it's cold brew. While you're waiting in line, they actually give you a little card that shares with you. They give you a card that shares with you what the options are for the day, so you have plenty of time to think about it. And even when you go in and you get up front toward the counter, you can look at the cookies. You have plenty of time to think about it. So by the time you make it to the front where they ask you what your order is, you're able to give that to them quickly and easily. Here's the card for the month of August for Gideon's. And you can see all of their specials. I personally love the original chocolate chip, the cookies and cream, and the triple chocolate are the 3 cookies that I like most. Their cookies are very rich, very jam-packed with chocolate chips or certain other types of toppings. So for me, it takes me about a good week to go through one Gideon's cookie. Their cake slices are absolutely massive. Looking forward to showing you all what it's like on the inside. Thank you. have made it inside Gideon's. The sun is starting to come out, so it is getting quite warm outside. So I'm so grateful to be inside, but it is such a vibe. It's very much Tim Burton, spooky. I really love it here, especially in the evenings. Here are the cookie options. So this is the special, the key lime chocolate chip. And you'll see here the rest. And then the enormous cake slices are here. Just to note, so right now they have a carrot cake, and they also have a cinnamon roll cake, as well as a peanut butter banana cake. We have our Gideons here. So I got the key lime cookie. I will show you all what that looks like when I am at home. I also got the banana walnut cookie. We'll try that and see if that's any good. My sister picked out the cinnamon roll cake. That should be interesting. So when we get back and we're in a quieter space, we'll certainly tell you all what we think about what we got from Gideon's. With that being said, see you at home. All right, we are back home and we are going to try some of the desserts that we picked up from Gideon. So we have here the key lime cookie, and again, this one is a special cookie that they don't always have. That is the special going on right now. The chocolate chip banana walnut cookie, that is a typical flavor that is at Gideon's. And then another special cake slice that they have for today is the cinnamon roll cake. And again, I want to correct myself that the cake slices actually change out daily, not monthly. But I am looking forward to trying these. Gideon's, as you can see, they are very extra, right? So they don't neglect flavor, they don't neglect the sugar, they don't neglect all the extra that comes with their desserts. And some of their desserts, I will tell you all right now, are very hit and miss with me because either they can be too sweet or the icing can be a little bit too thick and again, a bit too sugary. So we will let you all know what we think of these. Okay, so trying the key lime cookie now. I'm feeling a little nervous about this one because I'm not sure if it is going to be tart. But let's see. I'm actually quite surprised. The cookie is really good. Like, it has a nice lime flavor. The lime is not overpowering. The lime does not taste artificial. I'm really surprised, and not that I'm surprised because, like I said, Gideon's has good desserts. It's just that some of their cookie flavors are not preferable for me. Some of their cakes are a little bit too sweet, or the icing is a bit too thick, too sugary. But this key lime cookie is hitting. The key lime is not too overly acidic. It does not taste artificial at all. It does have a lot of chocolate. Obviously, you saw the big pile of chocolate chips on it, but I actually recommend this. So if you happen to catch Gideon's when they have this key lime cookie flavor, I would strongly suggest it. It is really good. And of course, Gideon cookies are at their freshest when you get them. It takes me about a week to go through just one cookie because they're just so massive and so rich in taste and flavor. And I can't personally eat a whole cookie or even half a cookie in one day. I typically just cut it up, and at least that way it makes me feel a little less gluttonous. But I can't imagine eating one whole cookie in one day or even multiple cookies in one day. But definitely a great sweet treat to munch on throughout the week. And let's try this banana walnut cookie. I think I like the key lime cookie a little bit better. Banana can be so dangerous because of a lot of the fruit flavors. That one is the one that can tend to lean more artificial tasting. It's feeling a little bit artificial. I think the cookie is good. You can definitely taste the banana. It's just that the banana tastes like it's leaning into that artificial place, not like a fresh, ripe banana. So if I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick the key lime. I do love the walnut in it. I love the crunch that it gives. Of course, the chocolate chips are the chocolate chips, and they are delicious, not bitter. But to me, the banana tastes a little artificial, whereas the key lime, that does not taste artificial at all. So I would, of the two cookies, actually lean more toward the key lime, my personal opinion. In terms of the cake, I'm gonna grab a fork and try that, and I'll tell you all how the cinnamon roll cake tastes. First, I'm going to try the frosting. The frosting is a cream cheese frosting. You can taste the cinnamon. It's really nice, but if you are someone that does not like cream cheese, it's probably not going to taste very good to you. For the cake part, the cake is good. It's dense. I wish it was just a little bit more moist, but it has a really nice cinnamon roll flavor. So if I had to rate that out of a 5, I probably would give it maybe like a 2.9, 2.8. I know that seems really low, but for me, I like my cakes a little bit more on the fluffier side, and your cake has to be moist. And that's the other thing about Gideon's cake. Some of their cake flavors to me are a bit more dry, whereas some of them have a lot of moisture and I feel like are incredible, even though they are dense. All of their cakes are dense. If you like something that is light and fluffy, you're not going to find that at Gideon. So I will tell you absolutely no to their cakes if you are a light and fluffy person. That is my preference. However, their red velvet, Valentina cakes, those are good. The carrot cake, which you all saw in the footage, is delicious. I've had that before in the past. The some of their other flavors, like I said before, they have like a vanilla cake that I think typically, which, that's like a very basic flavor. I think that one tends to be a bit more drier, for my opinion. I love the fact that the cinnamon roll cake tastes like a cinnamon roll. It is delicious. It has that wonderful like swirl. It has really great flavor. So like I said, I give it just a little bit under a 3, but still a good choice. It's just know that it's going to be very dense. It's going to be rich. The cake does need to be refrigerated. So if you are, like, let's just say visiting from out of town and you don't have a refrigerator in the place that you are staying, be mindful of that. You may need to go through your cake a lot faster. So yeah, that brings us to the close of our journey. Thank you for joining me. For those of you that are new, and if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe, please like. Otherwise, I will catch you on the next journey. Have a good one.